Today we're going to talk about hiring and retention. I had a coaching session this week with a young lady who was having trouble retaining people. She seemed to be able to hire people, but they wouldn't stick around long. She felt like their work wasn't where it needed to be. So we're going to talk a little bit about how you can alleviate some of your retention problems. Welcome to the 10-Minute Food Truck Training Podcast. My name is Bill Moore. I am a food truck business coach, author of 5 food truck vending books, including Food Truck 101 and Food Truck 201. This podcast is all about helping you start and grow your food truck business. If you're like most food truck owners, dreaming up the perfect menu was part of the fun. Mains, sides, drinks, and so many options. But then you had to figure out menu pricing. And then suddenly your confidence and excitement is gone. If that's you, then our friends at Table Needs have just what you need, a simple, straightforward menu pricing calculator. Try it out for free today. The link will be in the description below. Before I get into hiring and retention, let's talk about Houston, Texas. I'm going to be there on July 29th and 30th at the Food Truck Owners Expo. At the expo, you're going to have a whole bunch of people talking nothing but food trucks. They're going to give educational programs. There's going to be a lot of exhibitions that have to do with food trucks or support services of food trucks. I'm going to be there both Monday and Tuesday. I'm going to be giving a class on Monday and Tuesday, and then all day long on Monday and Tuesday, I'll be out on the showroom floor holding what they're calling a campfire session, where people can sit down and talk to me, ask questions, or they can listen to me talk about different subjects, all pertaining to food trucks. There'll be a link in the description for the registration. I look forward to seeing you guys in Houston, Texas. So this young lady, she has a food truck. She has been in operation almost a year, and she's having some hiring issues. She's pretty busy. She feels confident in the sales, but she needs some help. She needs to have 2 to 3 people on the food truck with her anytime that she's open and ready to do business. So as we got to talking, she was explaining to me that she has a number of people, but she doesn't have enough. And if somebody calls off, she's in trouble. And then some of the people that she's hired have only worked out for a few days at most. And then she says it's like they change and they forget how to do things, and then I have to let them go. So she had fired a number of people. So I said, it doesn't sound like you have a hiring problem. It sounds like you have a retention problem. There is a difference. So we went through some of the basics that I tell people when you're looking to hire. Number 1 is you always want to be hiring. Always. Somebody steps up and says, hey, can I have an application? You should never say, sorry, I'm not hiring. You're always looking to upgrade. You're always looking to get better, get more people in there. Because if they're able to ask you while you're on the food truck, you're on the food truck. You need to hire that person that's going to eventually replace you so you can run a business rather than cook food or run the cash register. So I gave her some tips. First place I tell people to look for employees is going to be the high school and the college hospitality programs, because those kids have at least expressed interest in learning something about food service. Get to know the teachers, get to know the professors, get to know the people in charge at those schools so that they'll send you some employees. And then go and do presentations for them. Have a hiring day where you're going and talking to people about all the fun that you have on the food truck and all the things that you've done. Get the kids excited about it. Second place I tell people to look for potential employees is homeschool groups. Typically, a homeschool child is not a problem child. A lot of people seem to have that misconception as, oh, well, they couldn't make it in regular school, so they had to be homeschooled. Not the case. Typically, a homeschooled child is going to get more attention because one or both parents understand the importance of education and want to make sure they get a good education, as opposed to the babysitting that happens in a lot of public schools. In any case, homeschool groups and homeschool children, good employees to have. Plus, the good thing is they can work during school hours because they're already homeschooled. They can do their schoolwork whenever. You still have to follow any rules and regulations your state has pertaining to minors, but it is a little bit easier with a homeschool child. Now let's talk about retention, because this is where it becomes really important. Retention is keeping somebody you've hired. Now, you got to let bad people go. There's no way around that, and that does happen. You're going to make bad hiring decisions. There are some people that are not cut out to be people persons, to where they're going to handle your guests the way you want it to be handled, and there's some people that absolutely just cannot learn how to cook or to follow recipes and make the food the way you want it to be made or as quick as you want it to be made. So we're not talking about those people. What we're talking about is the people that have gone through the training and at least show potential. So there's the first thing. You got to train them. I've talked about training many times. And if you remember, the training is show, tell, allow them to try, redirect, or respond to what they're doing, and then thank them. So it's start. Show, tell, allow them to try and redirect. Let's start. And you have to do that over and over in some cases. I've shared the story. It took me over 30 days before the management felt like I was somebody they should keep. And the only reason they kept me is because it was in the dead of winter and they weren't having a whole bunch of people show up to hire. I would imagine if there had been a whole bunch of people for them to pull from in their applications, they probably would have got rid of me because I was too slow. But they hung on to me and I got fast. And I got to the point where they felt like they needed to keep me. But not all stories end with that happy ending. So what you want to do is be the leader that's going to help them get to that point faster. Had somebody done this for me when I was working at Rack's Restaurants, maybe it would have only taken me 2 weeks to get good instead of well over a month. What you want to do, train them, have that training program, have job aids everywhere. I'm sitting in the middle of our food truck as I record this, and there's job aids up everywhere. We have a classic hot dog. We have a bacon barbecue hot dog. We have the build for the Texas toast sandwiches that we do. We have one we call the Brandon Sub. It's named after somebody that lives here in our RV park. And he likes 2 hamburger patties on a sub roll. And we accommodate him, so we named a product after him. We have all of these different builds all around our food truck. Behind me is the recipes to make all of our lemonades and iced coffees. Remember, it's just me and Melissa. We know what comes on stuff, but we have job aids to remind ourselves. And at the point where one of our kids comes on the food truck and helps, there you go. There's your instructions. So they don't have to know everything as detailed as we do. They have something to refer to. You need to have those job aids up. You also need to make sure that in the training process, you're telling people the specifics about the job, how to wrap it, what you should be doing in between steps. Should we cook this while this is cooking? Or you want to wait until this is already done cooking before you start the next part of the product. All those little tips. Don't just assume because they say they know how to cook and they worked at McDonald's that they have any clue on what to do for you. The next thing that you want to do, and this becomes the important part, this is turning you into a leader. There's a program at Wendy's called TTM, or it used to be at Wendy's called TTM. It was Talk to Me. And it was 3 steps. You want to talk people into position. And what that means is you're telling them, hey, today's going to be a busy day. You're going to be on the grill today. I expect us to sell 100 burgers, so get ready for that. I want you to work on X, Y, and Z because I've seen you be great at these things. Just keep yourself focused. And you may say, okay, I want you to also work on this step because I've noticed a couple times when you've been on the grill, you haven't been doing it quite right. So let's get it right today. So you're talking them into position, what they should expect and what you expect out of them. Then, this is the one that no one seems to do. You talk them through the position, and what that means is you're coaching. If you've ever seen a football coach, he's got that headset on, he's got tablets, he's got pads of paper, he is looking through stuff all through every play. He is coaching, he is telling the team what they've got to do. He may be running up and down the sidelines. The manager of the baseball team, same deal, they're going through the stats. What makes sense for us to do at this point in the game? Should I put a left-hand batter up? Should I put a right-hand batter up? What should I do? Should I steal now? Should I not steal? So the coach is the one doing all the thinking, and all the team has to do is react when something happens and do their job, what they've been trained to do. It's the same with an employee. They got to be talked through the position. Got to be reminded, hey, don't forget, I need you to put down 3 baskets of fries. Don't forget, we need 10 patties of meat on. We got 12 guests in line. Those kind of things. That's just coaching. That's telling them what to do. You have to be the brains. They have to be the hands. Now, if you're stuck in a position, you just giving yourself 2 sets of work. Your hands have to perform whatever the task is that you're doing, plus your brain has to be thinking about the overall operation. If you are not directing your staff in real time, they're doing it however they want. They're going as fast or as slow as you're letting them go. And you can't wait until you realize that, oh crap, this ticket's been up 15 minutes and we haven't got the meat down yet. That's too late. What were you doing those other 14 minutes? Because you had plenty of time to notice that, there's no meat down. You have to do the thinking. And that's why I don't like owners to be stuck in a position. Because it's too easy to fall back into, I'm the cashier, you're the cook, or vice versa. You got to do the thinking for the business. You got to remind people what to do. And yes, they do know what to do. You got to remind them. At Burger King, my position was always what we called front coordinator. And basically what that person does is make sure that the drive-thru and the front are getting their food in a timely manner. And that would mean I would be telling people, I need you to drop 2 baskets of fries. I've got 6 chicken on order. You have chicken up. You're just asking those questions to remind them because they may not have read the screen yet. They may not have noticed. They may not have heard the drive-thru. All you're doing is double checking to make sure they got the stuff cooking that you need to be cooking. If you're not talking all through the position and all through the day to guide your staff, you got a problem. So talking them through the position, helping them to make sure they're staying focused on getting the job done. If it's not busy, then you're dropping into, okay, it's time to clean, it's time to restock, it's time to get ready for the next rush. We can do all those things, and we're out to market and get people coming into the business. That's what your focus has to be all day long. So as you talk them through the position, the other thing is to talk them out of position. This is where you give them a little mini review for the day. Hey, you did great on the grill. I loved how you kept the meat up, kept it clean all day after every run of meat. I loved what you were doing. Or you give them feedback. Okay, you need to be a little bit faster on the grill. We need to hit those timers on the fryers. We got to, whatever it is they weren't doing right, you need to point out to them. And then the most important thing is to say thank you. Thank you for an awesome job today. Let's do it again tomorrow. People need to feel appreciated. They can't feel appreciated if you just give them that generic, hey, you did a good job. See you later. Give them specifics. Hey, it was great how you handled that rush today. You're getting faster at wrapping sandwiches. You're getting faster at paying attention. When you can give them specifics, they can duplicate the behavior. If you don't give them specifics, they cannot duplicate the behavior. So that's talk them into position, through the position, out of position. Now, the last little thing I want to throw at you as far as being a leader of your business, this is something we did at Burger King. Burger King's thought process was to do something very similar to Wendy's Talk to Me. Burger King called it something different, but they had one little thing that I always thought was really, really good, and that's what they called a travel path. A travel path was the manager getting the heck out of the building and then walking the grounds, walking the parking lot, and looking at the business from the view of the guest. So looking at the drive-thru, what's the landscape look like? Is there cigarette butts all over the parking lot? Is there paper and trash all over the parking lot? What's the grounds look like? What's the building look like? Oh, there's stuff on the windows, stuff on the doors. They come inside to go to the bathrooms. How do both the bathrooms look? They look through the dining room. They walk all the way around it. What's the floor look like? Are the tables clean? Are the chairs clean? What's the windows and glass look like? Has some kid been sitting there smearing ketchup all over it? You're looking at the details, and you're making mental notes or physical notes, or you're directing employees, hey, we got to get this ketchup off this window before it dries. So you're doing that travel path. Then you go into the kitchen, you go into the service area, and looking at all those details. Is all the food stocked the way it should be stocked? Are all the cups and lids and napkins filled up the way they should be? Is the condiment stand clean? You're looking at the details. Go into the kitchen, same thing. Now, we need to sweep the floor. You need to clean that grill off. You need to skim the fryer. You need to do these things. So that travel path was expected to be done every single hour. You as a food truck owner probably are stuck in position. And if you're busy for 3 hours, you ain't getting off the truck. We got a problem. If you're stuck in position to where you're being whatever that position is, cook, cashier, expediter, doesn't matter. If you're that busy to the point where you can't get off the truck, you need one more employee. And if you're going, but Bill, I can't afford it. You can't afford not to. Because as long as you're stuck in position, you will always be stuck in position. You will never have a business. You'll have a job. And you might love the amount of money the job generates, but it's still a job. Because when you get sick, who's taking your place? Is the food truck opening? Or is it being closed because you're down for a week because you're sick? See, that's a job. Your income's dependent upon your hands. When you have a business, the income's dependent upon your brain, and your brain could be napping. You can be laying in bed. The business still operates because you don't have to be there physically doing something. So you got to become a leader. You got to get yourself ready to get off that truck. So you got to hire people. Always be looking for the next upgrade. I used to have a saying that I don't make mistakes. I just hire them. If I have to terminate somebody, I've made the mistake. I'm the one that hired this person who's gotten themselves terminated. I made the mistake. I hired a mistake. And it happens. I've hired probably 10,000 people over the last 40-some years. Not all of them were real good. A lot of them I was like, what was I thinking? But I always look to hire because there's always going to be somebody that has fallen to the bottom. They're not as good as they should be. They're not picking up as quick as they should. And I've done the things that I should to help them. They just aren't trying. So we got to hire people. Once we hire people, we got to train them. Do not assume, no matter how long they've been in business, that they know what they're doing. No matter how long they say they've been in this business, that they know what they're doing. Every place that I've ever worked for, and that starts with Rax, they trained me. Went to Wendy's, they trained me. I went to a second Wendy's franchise. On Friday, I left one Wendy's in Central Florida to go work for a Wendy's in St. Thomas. So I had 2 days off, but it was Wendy's to a Wendy's. They still put me through the training. Now, they put me out of the training really quickly when they realized that, he actually did pay attention, knows what he's doing. But still, they put me in that program because they didn't assume that the first Wendy's I worked for was doing everything right. They put me through the training. And when I proved that I did know the training, they had no problem moving me on. But they still put me through the training. Come back from Wendy's, go to Shoney's. They put me through training. They put me through a lot of training at Shoney's. From Shoney's, I went to Hardee's. They put me through training. Now, I've worked at a number of different restaurants. Still put me through training. Go to Burger King. They put me through training. Go to Whataburger. They put me through training. Again, each of those trainings was shortcutted because I actually know what I'm doing, but they assumed I didn't know anything. You have to do the same thing. Guy comes up to you and says, I worked at Taco Bell 10 years. Awesome. I'm going to teach how I do tacos. And you teach them. Do not assume that they know what they're doing. From there, you're going to talk to them every single day. And I'm not talking about chit chat. We're talking about the business. We're getting you into the business. We're getting you focused on doing a good job. Here's how the job should be done. Talk them in a position. Talk them through the position. Coach them. Let them know what's going on. Be the brains. Then talk them out of position. Hey, you did an awesome job today. And be specific. What they did well, what they didn't do well. Because if you're not specific, that means you're not paying attention. That means you were too focused on what your hands were doing rather than what their hands were doing. And then get yourself in the habit of doing those travel paths where you're looking at your business from the eye of the guest and you're being very critical about it. What can the guest see when they peer through the window? Is it dirty? Is it clean? Does it look like it's dirty? Do I need to clean this up? Do I need to organize this? Do I need to straighten it up? Once you get yourself in the habit of doing those things, now you're becoming a leader. And you're going to have a better staff because of it. Thank you so much for listening to the 10-Minute Food Truck Training Podcast. If you're finding all the information helpful to your food truck business, please become a monthly supporter of the podcast. Just hit the support button or follow the link in the description. Every little bit does help keep us going. Join our Facebook group. It's called Food Truck Training. We have a whole bunch of awesome members at all different levels, from brand new beginners to decades-old veterans. They've all got your back when it comes to helping you with your food truck. And again, thank you for listening. Come back tomorrow because I got plenty more to say when it comes to helping you and your food truck business grow.